In a 30 square mile area of the rugged Mayacamas Mountains, there is a great natural boiler not far below the Earth's surface. In spots, steam from this subterranean cauldron drifts right out of the ground, giving the area its name, the geysers. By drilling hundreds of wells through the hard, hot rock, the natural or geothermal steam is harnessed and put to work spinning turbine generators to create electricity. Calpine Corporation owns and operates 19 generating plants at the geysers, the largest complex of geothermal generating plants in the world. Combined, these plants generate about 850 megawatts of electricity, enough to serve a city with a population of almost 1 million people.
Here is a geothermal model. It shows how geothermal energy is created. It takes steam from the ground to turn a generator, which then sends the steam up a scrubbing tower, up the scrubbing tower and two cooling towers where it is cooled back down into water. But only 25% of it is turned back into water. The other 75% is lost in the process. Here we have some of the older relics of geothermal energy from its heyday when it was first started in Labarrio, Italy in 1904. Here we have an original drill bit used to find steam in geothermal wells. Here we have a real drill bit used to find geothermal wells. These spikes here are used to drill through the rock, get very high speeds. And if you have on the end of this, well, let's just say you'd have a pretty bad day. Each one of these plants is owned and operated by Calpine, except for the NCPA ones which are operated by the Northern California Power Authority. Here's the Bear Canyon facility where we will be going today. It sits on the eastern edge of the geysers. Here we have the basic layout of a geothermal reservoir. Water is heated by the magma right down here, which is then transferred to zones of intense heat, which then heats up a reservoir of trapped steam, where steam wells are drilled into to harvest the steam and used to generate electricity. Then the condensed steam, which is now water, is re-injected through re-injection wells that transfer the water back into the wells. Here we have core samples from each level. But now if you notice here, you can see hairline fractures which trap the water in and where the magma is to heat it up. Now this rock is very important in geothermal energy. It traps and holds all the pressure in. And not a whole lot of areas have this rock. So, for geothermal energy to be created, you need this. And now not all areas in the world have geothermal energy capabilities. They may have the water source but not the magma, or they may have the magma but not the water source. It all depends on the geography of where you are and where you live. Here we have a 110 megawatt turbine. This is of its kind. This one spins at 60 revolutions per second. It's one of the largest turbines known to man. Created for geothermal energy. Steam travels through here and spins it at high revolutions. Here we have a drill bit of actual size. This spins around to drill through rock. I wish I could demonstrate it, but then, well, you fill in the rest. Here's the turbine and the generator which sit on the floor, and this is the condenser which sits on top of them. The condenser actually helps pull the steam through the turbine. And with me today is Mr. Kevin Talkington. Kevin is the land manager for the Calpine Corporation. How did you get involved with geothermal energy?
Right out of college, I was hired by Unical, Union Oil Company at the time, and they were looking for a person to acquire leases, acquire land rights for them for their geothermal operations. And I was interested in renewable energy at the time, and so everything worked out right, and they hired me in 1980.
As you can see, geothermal is a very complex business. Outside the plant stands the scrubbing tower. The scrubbing tower works to separate the bad steam from the good. Sulfur dioxide is then dumped into this container. The sulfur dioxide is then sold to fertilizer companies. These filters clean the water before going to the cooling tower. Kevin, how long have you been in geothermal?
I spent 5 years down in the Imperial Valley doing the geothermal energy down there, and then since then I've been up here at the geysers.
What does the future of geothermal energy look like?
I think the future of geothermal looks pretty good. California has a renewable portfolio standard which requires that the state's utilities have a certain amount of renewable energy in their whole power mix. And so by 2010 that was to be 20%, and they haven't completely met that yet, but they're real close. And by 2020 now they have to have 33%, or 1/3 of their total power come from renewable. And of course geothermal is just one of the renewables. There's also solar and wind and others, but geothermal is unique in that it's online and available 24 hours a day. We don't require the wind to blow or the sun to shine to create our electricity up here, so we have the additional benefits that those other renewables don't have. Don't get me wrong, all renewables are good because, like geothermal, they offset the need to bring in more polluting sources of energy, like for instance coal-fired power. We're far less polluting and far less of an impact on the environment than those other sources. So I think because of that and the whole movement towards cleaner energy and getting away from carbon dioxide and other emissions from power plants, that the future of geothermal is looking very good right now.